In this video, I will show you how to make a simple static website using a framework called Hugo, add the source code to GitHub, and how to have Cloudflare host your website for free. Quick disclaimer, I don't have any affiliation with any of these companies or products. There are many different ways to both build websites and host them, and this is by no means the best way to do it, but it's the way I like to deploy simple static websites. Let's get into it. I'm on my Ubuntu laptop right now, but you could do this on both Mac and Windows. The installation steps might differ a bit, especially if you're on Windows. First, let's make sure Hugo is installed by running sudo apt install Hugo. As you can see, I already have it installed. Then we create a new Hugo project by running Hugo new site, the name of your site, -- format, YAML. Change into the newly created project directory. And we can now see some files if we run ls. Next, I'll create an SSH key for us to use when we're going to deploy the site. Press enter to use the default key name unless you want to call it something else. List the public part of your newly created SSH key by using the cat command like this. Then copy the output and we'll head over to GitHub to add it to your account. If you don't have a GitHub account, go ahead and create one. It's free and only takes a moment. Then head over to your account, go down to settings and click on SSH and GPG keys. Let's add a new SSH key by pasting the content we copied from the terminal here and hitting the add SSH key to save. Now, to be politically correct, make sure we globally set the default init branch to main like this. Then configure your user.name, which is your name, not necessarily the same name as your username. Then configure the email associated with your GitHub account. Go back to GitHub and hit create repository to create a new repository. Let's call this repository pestobyte-web. Change the visibility to private or do public if you want, that's up to you. At the bottom, click create repository and voila. GitHub will now give you some commands you can run to initialize a local repository and connect it with the remote repository we just created. I'll make sure it's set to SSH and I'll copy these lines and paste them in the terminal. Type yes to trust GitHub's SSH key, and there we go. If we check on github.com, we can see that we have made our first commit with a readme file. Hugo is meant to be used with themes, and I will use this one, Papermod. When I click the download button, I will be taken to Papermod's GitHub page, where I can scroll down for the installation instructions. I will choose Git submodule as it's the recommended way. Copy these two lines and paste them in the terminal, and then do git submodule update -- remote -- merge. The final step of installing Papermod is to set it as the theme in the hugo.yaml file. Open a repository in your favorite code editor and add this line. Now, let's see what the site looks like. Uh-oh, our first error. It turns out that the Hugo version in Ubuntu's repositories was too old for the latest version of Papermod. On the Hugo website, there are multiple ways of installing Hugo, and I will now show you how it can be installed if you already have Go installed on your computer. Enter this command to install Hugo. This will take some time. Checking the Hugo version won't work yet. Export the Go path like this and add the Go path to your path variable. We were running 0.146 previously, and now we have 0.155 installed. If we now run Hugo serve, it should work. If we go to localhost on port 1313 in our browser, we should now see that the site looks like this. Not the most interesting site in the world, but we are at least now ready to add our own content. I'll change the base URL, remove the language code for now, set the title to pestobyte and add a copyright footer. If I hit Ctrl S to save the file, we'll immediately see in a terminal that the site has been rebuilt by Hugo. If we head over to the browser, we'll see that the title is now pestobyte and we can see the copyright at the bottom. Now, I'll quickly add some more parameters to get us started. All the different ways you can configure this theme are documented on Papermod's GitHub wiki. I'll enable profile mode and add an image URL. I'll then head over to the terminal to create those directories I just referenced, and I'll move my picture into this directory. If I now run Hugo serve again, we can see our picture as well as the title and subtitle we added. Now, we have a bunch of files locally that are not present on GitHub. Run git status to check the current status of your local repository. I will go back to VS Code and add a .gitignore file to ignore certain files or paths. For a Hugo site like this, I would likely want to ignore the /public, /resources and the .hugo_build.log, as these are dynamic files and repositories that don't need to be tracked by Git. If I do a git status now, there are fewer files listed as Git will now ignore what we just specified. To add all other local files to be committed, do git add period. Add a commit message with the git commit-m, your commit message, and push your local changes to the configured remote with git push. Now that we have a simple site pushed to our GitHub repository, we can deploy it using Cloudflare. Sign up if you don't already have an account. Expand Compute and AI in the left menu and choose Workers and Pages. Then we're going to hit Create Application, but we're not going to deploy a worker. We're going to the bottom of this page to deploy pages. Next, we're going to connect and import from an existing Git repository. You will get a prompt to allow Cloudflare workers and pages to access your repositories. We can now select your GitHub account and repository from the dropdowns and begin the setup. I'll leave the project name, and then this dropdown where it says Framework Preset, we can choose Hugo. Then it's as simple as hitting Save and Deploy, and Cloudflare will build and deploy our site. We can see exactly what it's doing down here in the log output, which will be very helpful if anything fails. And there we go. When it's done, continue to your project overview page. Everything is all green here, and we can see that the page has been deployed under pestobyte-web.pages.dev. Now it might take a few moments for Cloudflare to propagate all media resources such as images. Not to worry, it'll only take a moment. I'm going to assume that you have a custom domain you control the DNS of within Cloudflare. If not, there are many tutorials online on how to buy a domain and add it to Cloudflare. In the pestobyte-web project under Workers and Pages, we can now go to Custom Domains and set up a custom domain. I have the domain pestobyte.com, so I'll type that in here and hit Continue. Cloudflare will then configure some DNS records, and you will get a preview of the changes before applying them. After you press Activate Domain, everything should be okay. Now, it says that it may take up to 48 hours for DNS records to update and for the site to be viewable by visitors. But in my experience, this usually takes a lot shorter. If we now go to the Don't Be Evil search engine and enter the URL of our site, we can see our simple yet glorious site right there on the internet. Now that everything is set up, the workflow is as follows. Modify the site to your liking. I'll add some social media links and icons, force dark theme upon my visitors, and add an about page. I can now put the about page under content, and everything within this about page is content that I can write with Markdown. Again, there are many examples, and every supported parameter is documented on the wiki page of Papermod. Now, after doing my modifications, I can see them locally by running Hugo-serve and going to localhost 1313. We can now see the social icons below the subtitle, and we can see a link to the about page in the top right corner. Nothing fancy, but this is just a demonstration. To deploy this, I will add this to be committed, add a very bad commit message, and then push to the remote repository. Before I even manage to open the Cloudflare dashboard, a new deployment is in progress based on the latest commit, and we can see the details over here. And it's already done. If you then go to pestobyte.com, we can see that our latest changes are present there as well. After recording this video, I did some changes to my branding and modified the website a bit, so this is what it looks like now. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. Subscribe to not miss future content, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.